I want to tell you guys a story, okay? So this is a story about how I fell into a community called the Pickup Artist community. Now, I think it's important to tell this story because the Pickup Artist community was the founding component of the Manosphere as we know it today. It was started by a guy called Ross Jeffries. He was sort of like a creepy American guy doing hypnosis, trying to hypnotize girls into bed at the time, okay? And then in 2005, there was a book called The Game. It was written by a guy called Neil Strauss. Does people know this book or not?
I read
Put your
it.
hand. Yeah, everyone's read it. Yes,
17,
tried it.
I love
There we go. 17, okay.
Love
So it's been going a while now, and this book was written by a guy called Neil Strauss, and he was like this squeaky-voiced bookworm that went under the wing of these various pickup artists in America, in the west coast of America, okay? And if you read this book, the alleged story is he becomes unstoppable with the ladies, okay? And this forged like a multi-million-pound industry, okay? Pickup artist industry. And at the time, I didn't know about this industry. In the UK, it kind of came in a little bit later. At the time, I was a cool, sociable person. I used to run events in London, parties. I didn't consider myself to have a problem with women or with people, making friends, that kind of thing. But whilst I was at university, I went out with the love of my life, and she kind of changed me a little bit. She got me to the point where I didn't want to go out and see my friends anymore. I didn't want to party, didn't want to do the drugs anymore. And in a way, I kind of settled with her. And it became a bit of a schmoopy-poopy relationship where we would sit on each other's laps in restaurants and hold each other's knuckles so tight they would go white. And we'd skip down the road together. It was a bit embarrassing, I'll be honest with you. But what happens is I fell for this girl, and I fell in love with this girl. And I went through a bit of a bad patch, like in most relationships, and she dumped me. And it hit me so hard that I went back to my mum's house, and I spent about 3 weeks in bed. I didn't even leave my bedroom. My friend was bringing me Nando's in bed. I was going yellow. And my friend said to me, he comes over, he says, "Look, John, please, for God's sake, try and turn a negative into a positive." I was like, okay, all right. So I went straight to Waterstones, went straight to the self-help section, and I was looking for books initially on how to get your ex back. That was what I was looking for, okay? And then I was like devouring all these self-help books, and I thought, wow, that's going to make me really powerful if I read all these books, you know, self-help books. And then in the bookshelf was the book The Game. So I read this, and I thought, hang on a minute, if I can't have the love of my life, I can have any girl, any time, any place. I thought, this is it, this is the one. So I got really deep into it, and before you know it, I was going on forums trying to meet other wingmen, and I met a friend of mine, Labby, at the time, and we used to go out and wingmen each other, and we got really, really deep into this. So deep, in fact, that I was learning hypnosis, I was learning how to do palm reading, I was learning how to do NLP, anything that got me closer to getting laid, I would do it, okay? And I didn't see anything wrong with that at the time. And then my best friend, who didn't know anything about this, he said to me, "John, what's happened to you, buddy?" I went, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" I went, No. He goes, "You used to be a cool guy. You used to sort of attract women, used to go out, used to be sociable. Now you've turned into a bit of a weirdo." And I was like, No, you don't understand. I'm going out and I'm the one taking action with all these girls. I know what I'm doing. You don't, mate, all right? You don't know what's going on. He goes, "Nah, there's something wrong about you." He goes, "What I'd like you to do, John, is I'd like you to stick everything you've learned from this pickup artist community, stick it in a box, put it to one side, and go out there and just be John again." And I remember saying to him this at the time. I said, "I can't do that. I wouldn't be in control." And he goes, "Exactly. That's the problem, because you have fallen into this pickup artist thing of trying to control every woman that you meet into bed." And I didn't really acknowledge that at the time. I didn't really realise it at the time, because I was going through so much pain from this breakup. I was in that, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. When you go for a breakup, it's like, and women, it's like a dark-hearted feeling, right? It's like an emptiness that sits in your body. And instead of grieving that feeling and dealing with it, what did I want to do? I wanted to fill my hole, as my friend Darren Diogi would say, with sex. Sex was my salvation, you see what I mean, right? So I gravitated towards methods and modalities that wanted to help me fill my hole like a crack addict, okay? And that's effectively what the pickup artist community is all about, which I'm going to explain a little bit more. So anyway, so I did all this creepy stuff, and yeah, I was having sex, but like, if you throw enough shit at something, it's going to stick after a while, right? Okay? So we were doing this, and me and my friend Labby would do all these things where we would set each other harder and harder challenges. So I would say to him, "See that taxi over there with the 3 girls getting into it?" And he'd go, "Yeah." Again, "I want you to jump in and drive off with them."
anything.
So he would do that, and then he would set me a challenge such as, you see that couple holding hands in that romantic candlelit dinner over there in that restaurant? I want you to go in there and get the girl's number. So we would do these sorts of things, and we became like these fearless PUA Robotrons, you know? And after a while, there was a splinter in my mind, remembering what my friend said to me, and I remember thinking, there's something not quite right about this, but at the same time, hang on a minute, what can be wrong about, you know, taking action to all these girls? And then there was a company in Australia, and they were teaching how to be naturals with women, and I was like, that's it. No more of this creepy, analytical, left brain kind of, you know, neurotic way of trying to pick up girls. Being a natural is the way forward. So I contacted them and I said, hey, listen, I really want to be a natural with women. Can I join up with you? And the guy said to me, he goes, you can, but I'm not going to be in London for another year, so we're going to have to wait until then. And I said to him, no, I'm going to fly out to see you. I'm really keen. I really want to get this shit sorted. And he goes, okay, man, get the flight over and join the madhouse. So I was like, yeah. So I booked a flight. I went to Australia. And when I got there, I joined the madhouse. And what I thought he meant by that was sex, drugs, rock and roll, and orgies, and all that kind of stuff. When I got there was a guy in the basement who was a schizophrenic who was on meth. Upstairs, there was a manic depressant who barely left his house only to smoke his roll-ups. And the main guy, the head honcho guy, he was on the verge of topping himself, and he was on like Xanax and Valiums. So when he said madhouse, he really meant a fucking madhouse, okay? So anyway, I thought they were going to train me up to be this Lothario, you know? But what they did is he just gave me a camera. He said, hit the streets. I just want you to do these infield videos. I was like, okay. So if you guys don't know what that means, an infield video is where you go out on the streets and you film yourself picking up a girl. And this is like the currency for putting yourself in the shop window for how good you are with women, okay? So I would do this. I would go out and I'd film myself picking up all these girls, and I developed myself as some kind of pickup artist, status.
Yeah.
But hang on, but wait. Something didn't quite feel right about this, okay? And even when I made these infield videos, I would have to do the reveal to the girl at the end because something didn't really sit right with me ethically about it all, okay? And I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but when you go through that breakup, there does reach a point where you do get over that pain. You might displace the pain and put it on another girl, but there does reach a point where you get over that pain, right? And so what happened was, we would do these things like Euro tours, where like boot camps, where we'd take 10 guys and we'd take them through Eastern Europe, and it'd be like a sex boot camp where we'd get them picking up girls. We'd even do this thing where we radio mic them up. So they had a little lapel mic like this, and then we'd be listening in like Hitch and telling them where they went wrong and how they can improve their interaction. And the whole point of these boot camps was to get these guys getting laid, effectively, right? Now, at the time, I thought there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with helping guys improve their interactions with women, right? But as I started to heal that pain, as I started to go through that breakup pain, I started to come to terms with it, I went back to being the normal, cool John that my mate Tom was telling me to be. Just return to being John again. And suddenly, it was like waking up in a fucking circus. I was looking around and all these guys were more in pain than the students that they were teaching. They were all on antidepressants, they hated themselves, and it was like, I can't believe I'm actually part of this. It's like a fraud. It was like a complete joke, you know? And I remember thinking, it was like waking up in an asylum and going, what the hell am I doing in here? And as I started to heal my own heart, I realised that my whole actions of going out there and trying to conquer women and get results and using all the language they were using, which was approach the target with your wingman and disarm their bitch shield. This is the language they use. It's like, hang on a minute, have I just woken up in Dad's army? What the fuck is going on here? And I suddenly realised that this community is a way of eliciting the pain that men go through, the emptiness they go through, and then selling them into this cult whereby they offer the services to them. And it's like, well, you feel like a bit of a loser? Well, you can get pussy pounding action in one weekend if you join this boot camp. And I fell for it, like most men fell for it, and I fell for it for quite a long time until I actually started to do the shadow work on myself, and I realised that they deliberately hold men into low self-esteem and keep them empty so they can pump their products and services to these guys.
Exactly.
It's a cult, and I was it's a new market. I mean, and I feel a little bit sorry for these guys because up until that point, there is no real advice for men to develop their confidence and social skills with women unless they enter this particular
100%.
cult, right? So they're the first ones in this cult. So they've created this new business. So of course, every guy's going to pile into it, right? And so I suddenly realised this, and when they're taking advantage of all these students, it's like the blind leading the fucking blind, okay? So what I did is I started to wake up from this slumber in this fucking madhouse. I mean, most of these coaches, some of these coaches, they're doing these boot camps and workshops in front of 200 plus people in the room. Some of them are virgins. They haven't even had sex, and they're teaching this shit, you know? It's unfucking believable what goes on. You would not believe if I told you everything, okay? And some of the dark stuff that goes on as well. Some of these pickup artists, what they do is they film girls that they have sex with in the bedroom and then they post it online, you know? Some of it is dirty, dirty stuff. There's also, they boast about sleeping with underage girls and they post up the pictures and the videos of that. It's really dark stuff, you know? So I started to come out of this and I started to see the world that I was in, and I started to go, fuck, I want to change this, I want to transform this. So I started to speak to the students that I was exposed to in this company, and I took them to one side and I said, stop using military language to talk to girls. Stop seeing women as these transactions and these results that you need to get every time that you go out. Just return back to being a social artist who just wants to go out and express themselves. An artist wants to express. They don't care what you think. They want to develop their own individual style. They don't know what the end result's going to look like, but they're okay with that. They can trust in the process. Do that when you go out instead of trying to engineer this creepy algorithm to picking up a girl, you know? And I thought that was really good advice. But this company got rid of me and they smeared me on the internet. And they made sure that they completely crushed me, or tried to crush me in the industry, because my words were in loggerheads with what they were teaching. And I had to make a decision. Do I go along with them and help them teach this stuff that's actually keeping guys in low self-esteem, or actually speak my truth and actually help these guys? And that for me was more important. But effectively, that's going against the grain of this whole industry, this whole community. And so there was a massive effort to crush me within the industry. And I thought, well, fuck them, I'm going to do it anyway. And I wrote a book called Game Over. So the book was called The Game, and I wrote a book called Game Over, From Pickup Artist to Social Artist. And this whole book is basically outlining this story that I'm telling you now. I know I don't have much time, but it's basically teaching guys you can still talk to women and you can still improve your social skills, but stop trying to see it as this World of Warcraft approach to target with your wingmen and your bitch shields, and don't see this as like, if I get the girl, then I'm going to be happy. That's the main point. You've got to be okay without women. That's the key aspect for all men out there, okay? You have got to be okay in your own skin and feel high self-esteem. And if you want to express yourself to a woman and she doesn't like you, then that's her loss. That's her loss. But if you're trying to engineer everything you say in order to get this girl, then you're not coming from your authentic self. You're coming from the ego self. You're trying to fill your hole instead of feeling whole, as my mate Darren DOG says. Okay, so anyway, so that's what I've been doing for like solo for the last 5 years. My philosophy is called social artistry because, as I mentioned, it's about becoming a social artist, and it's also about doing that heart healing work. Because whether or not we know it or not, most of us go through pain. We are going through pain, and we can either run away from the pain and disassociate from the pain and try and addict ourselves with porn, ice cream, whatever it is, picking up girls, you know, alcohol, cigarettes, or we can actually address that pain and try and be conscious of that so that we're not trying to use women as this thing that we need to make ourselves feel good. And I think that's the message for men that I wanted to share with you tonight. So my name's John Cooper. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your music. Thank you.